The Equipment tab in QuickBid is where you enter all equipment costs into your bid. Items entered on this tab are part of the Equipment section of your bid and are marked up by the percentages from the Equipment section on the Markups tab. Some estimators may put their equipment in a condition rather than on the Equipment tab, but just be aware that in doing so, equipment costs are considered material and do not appear in the Equipment section of the Markup tab. To enter an equipment line, start by selecting a section code. Click the magnifying glass to open the Divisions and Sections window. If the piece of equipment is for a specific task, like a concrete mixer for example, you might select an appropriate section in the Concrete division. However, it's also helpful to keep all equipment entries in a specific section for easy markup. For this example, let's make a new section inside the existing Division 1. Select the division you want to create the new section in and click the New Section button. A new line appears where you can enter the new section number. In most cases, you should follow the actual section specified by the master format system. However, following the 6-digit numbering convention, you can create any section number you like. Let's give this section number a name and press Enter. Double-click the section to select it. A new heading appears at the top of the screen indicating you are entering information in the new section you just created. The blue Equipment field is where you enter whatever piece of equipment you require. Since there's a virtually endless number of equipment types, sizes, brands, etc., there is no equipment database from which to pull. Just type in whatever it is you need. For this example, let's enter 5,000-pound forklift, but just know you can type in whatever equipment you need. The following two fields, quantity and unit, work together. The quantity is a multiplier based on the unit. If you're renting, you need to figure out how long you need the equipment. 5 days? 2 weeks? Or maybe you're purchasing equipment, so how many do you need? Just one? Or maybe 2 or 3 each? You choose what's best in your situation. Continuing with the forklift example, let's imagine we're renting it and we need it every day for 3 weeks. So we enter 3 in quantity and move on to the unit. In the Unit field, click the magnifying glass to open the Containers window. All containers are in alphabetical order, so just scroll to the bottom to find week. If the unit you want isn't there, you can add a new container by clicking the New button on the right. Double-click the entry you want to select it. The next two fields, Multi and Area, allow you to assign quantities to a particular bid area or spread the quantity across multiple bid areas. You don't have to set your equipment to a bid area, just know that if you don't, equipment costs appear as unassigned. If that bothers you, go back to OST and add a new bid area for something like General or Equipment. Then you can come back to the Equipment tab and assign the item to your new bid area. After assigning the equipment to the relevant bid areas, you must enter the cost in the Equipment Rate field. The number you enter must be based on the Unit field to calculate correctly. If you rent by the day, enter the daily rate. Rent by the month, enter the monthly rate. Buying a piece of equipment, enter the price you paid per piece. In our example, we're renting a forklift for 3 weeks, so the correct entry would be the weekly rate. When you enter the cost and press Enter, the Equipment Total field automatically multiplies the equipment rate by the quantity. Next, you must enter a cost code. Every cost in QuickBid needs an associated cost code. Click the magnifying glass to see your choices. The cost code list window appears. Since you access this window from the Equipment tab, the list automatically filters to the equipment type. You may already have a code you can use, or you can create a new code by clicking the New button on the right. Double-click the code you want to select it. You can always come back and change the code later. For many types of equipment, such as dumpsters or scaffolding, you can stop at this point. However, some equipment requires additional labor for a complete cost estimate. For example, our forklift always requires a certified operator. Let's use the remaining fields to enter the labor required for our forklift operator. The labor rate field works just like the equipment rate field. Whatever rate you enter must be based on the unit you chose. Don't enter an hourly rate if you base the unit on the week or the month, or you won't have enough money in your bid to cover the labor cost. In our example, let's say you pay your forklift operator $20 an hour. That won't work since the unit field uses week, so you need to do some quick math. Multiplying $20 an hour by 40 hours a week gets you $800. We can enter that weekly rate in the labor rate field. Next, the labor total field automatically multiplies the labor rate by the quantity. Now, just like before, you need to associate this total with a cost code. Click the magnifying glass in the labor cost code field to open the cost code list again. This time, the window filtered to the labor type. Again, you might already have a code you can use, or you can add a new cost code. Just double-click the code you want to select it. Since we're dealing with labor, you must also specify a payroll class and wage type to ensure you're using the proper pay rates and labor burdens. See the payroll settings and payroll classes training videos for more information about how QuickBid handles labor. Click the magnifying glass in Payroll Class to open the Payroll Class List window. Locate the payroll class you want to use. You can add new classes on the right if no payroll classes look correct. Double-click the payroll class to select it. Your default wage type is selected automatically in the wage type field, but you can change it if you wish. Be aware that you won't see any individual labor hours on the Equipment tab. Equipment labor hours appear on the Payroll tab next to the chosen payroll class. Let's go check it out. In this example, the payroll class we chose charges $20 an hour, so the Payroll tab displays 120 hours. That's the labor total of $2,400 divided by $20. If the payroll class charged, say, $32 an hour, 75 hours display. For the best results, choose a payroll class that charges a realistic hourly rate for the work. These hours are necessary to calculate the labor burden the bid requires and are not indicative of how many hours the person may actually work. The most important thing is that you have the correct labor total on the Equipment tab. If, after reviewing the Payroll tab, you don't think there's enough labor in the bid for that line, go back and adjust the labor rate. You can continue to add new lines by pressing the Insert key on your keyboard or by right-clicking and selecting New Equipment Entry from the context menu. Additional lines inherit the section from the previous line, so you don't need to enter it again unless you want to change it to a different section. You can sort lines by clicking the column headings along the top. Clicking the column headings again reverses the sort order. The sorted column contains a triangle. The triangle pointing up means the field is in ascending order, and pointing down means descending order. Sorting can be helpful to quickly find out which line is the least expensive or has the highest labor rate. Finally, to speed things up on your next bid, you can save your entire list of items as an assembly. Right-click on the tab and select New Equipment Assembly from the context menu. All the lines from the Equipment tab load into the new assembly, including their quantities and rates. Enter a name for the assembly in the Name field. We also recommend setting the quantity field to 0. This way, when you use the assembly on the next job, none of the lines can actually calculate a total until you enter how long you need the item. Click the Close button to exit the Equipment Assembly window. To use the assembly, right-click on the Equipment tab and select Insert Equipment Assembly from the context menu. Then, double-click the assembly you want to use to load it. Once loaded, just make any necessary adjustments to each line, such as entering a quantity or updating equipment or labor rates, and you're good to go.